Welcome everyone. Tonight we're going to look at Parshat Maseh. In Parshat Maseh, the Torah recounts 42 journeys that Israel took in the desert, from the time that we left Egypt until that part of the Torah. It goes through 42 journeys. And what's interesting is that the way that we chant publicly this part of the Torah is a very, very special way. It's not the ordinary way. There's only one other time that we use the same, call it melody or nusach, and that's the Song of the Sea, which is also, they traversed the Yam Suf. So these 42 journeys, according to the Baal Shem Tov, since the Torah is eternal, is archetypal, and applies to each and every person in every generation, the Baal Shem Tov explains that these 42 journeys are not just the 42 journeys that happened in the desert, but they are symbolic of the 42 journeys that every person goes on from the time they're born until the time they leave this world. And so it's the story of transitions, of growth. Many of the names of the places that are mentioned have been mentioned before, and others are apparently new. We have not heard these names before. And so there's a lot of symbolism in the journey from one place to another place and what it can tell us about our own journey through life. This number 42 is very symbolic, and Rabbi Yitzhak Ginsburg has a beautiful insight that he points out that the root word for love, ahava, appears exactly 42 times in the Chumash, in the 5 books of Moses. Exactly 42 times. In different forms, but the root 42 times. So he makes this a simple statement, is that all of the journeys through the desert were an expression of God's love of us. And our journey through life, each and every person. Sometimes we have ups, sometimes we have downs, sometimes we understand the reason we are going from one level to another, from one experience to the other. Other times we're not so sure. But when we have faith that all of our journeys are under the rubric, the fabric of God's love for us. So it's a different way to go about the journey of life. So this is a very beautiful correspondence between the 42 journeys in the desert and our own journeys, and the love that surrounds us at all times. As I said, this number 42 is very symbolic and appears many times. One of the places it appears is in a very important mystical poem called Anabo. Anabo has exactly 42 words. It is 7 verses, each one having 6 words. It's very organized, and this is alluding to the 6 days of the week and the 7th day, Shabbat. It also relates to the fact that the first word in the Torah, Bereshit, in the beginning, has 6 letters, but the first verse, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, has 7 words. So the relationship between 6 and 7 appears many times. In Eretz Yisrael, we work the land for 6 years, and the 7th year is the sabbatical year. According to tradition, there will be 6,000 years of history as we know it, and then the Messianic era. So this mystical poem, according to tradition, written by Nehunya ben Hakana, approximately 2,000 years ago, also has hidden in it what's called the 42-letter name of God. Some say it's in the first letter of each word of the 42 words is engraved in it the 42-letter name of God. This 42-letter name of God is always connected with creation. Many people say it comes from the first 2 verses of the Torah. And the idea is that this mystical poem, it's also very much like a journey. Is in the poem we're praying for God's help, for God's chesed, for God's providence, but it's always talked about that it's connected to transitions. Some people say Anabo every day, but one of the places that it comes is at the end of Kabbalat Shabbat, before the evening prayer. And we say Anabo. Because here we're making the transition from the 6 days of the week to Shabbat. And the other place that many people recite it is when we count Sfira to Omer. When we make the transition from Pesach to Shavuos, when we count the 49 days of Sfira to Omer, each day when we count, many people say Anabo, because there are 42 words, but when you put it together with the first letters of each word, you can understand it as 49 altogether. And so here we see 42. There's a strand of connection between the 42 journeys in the desert, the 42 expressions of love in the Chumash, this mystical poem that has to do with transitions, and the greatest transition is when God creates the world. And so Anabo has great strength in our own creative process. So we should be blessed with the koach. Anabo means, koach is the word strength. And so these connections may give us strength that our journey through life should be with an awareness of God's love for us and our love of God, and through that, our love for every Jew, every human being, and for everything in the creation.